Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and we are continuing the Fast and the Furious franchise. And the reason for this is during this time of year, nothing says family like the Fast and the Furious. So today's film is the 2003 movie Too Fast, Too Furious. Here is your trivia question for today. When we first meet Roman, what is he doing? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in this film, which only takes place within a year from the last one, we move from Los Angeles, California to Miami, Florida. It's here we meet a new character named Tej Parker, who is holding a bunch of street races. There are currently 3 street racers waiting to start the race. They're just waiting on a fourth. And since there isn't one showing up, Tej says that he knows someone that is willing to race. That fourth racer just so happens to be Brian O'Connor from the first film. It looks as though he has left his old life behind and is trying to start a new one in Miami. Now, unfortunately, there won't be any Dominic Toretto in this film, as last we saw, he was running off to Mexico. Now, unfortunately for Brian, he actually gets caught pretty quickly by the authorities. Fortunately for him, or possibly unfortunately as well, they want him to work with them again. Specifically, this time they want him to get in good with a drug smuggler named Carter Verone. Luckily for Brian, he has an in, as the FBI already has an undercover agent, Monica Fuentes, who's already working with Verone. So Brian agrees to the mission, but only if he can choose his own partner. And that person happens to be an old friend of his named Roman Pierce. After a little bit of catching up, Roman finally agrees to partner with Brian. So will Brian, Roman, and Monica be able to keep their secrets and catch Verone? Or will Verone be the one to figure out their secrets and take them out? For this film, the director switched over to John Singleton. He also apparently encouraged quite a bit of improvising on the set. Singleton says he actually got a lot of inspiration for this movie from the film Top Gun. Apparently, Jeff Celentano was also up for the possibility of being the director. The movie was not only filmed in Florida, but it also takes place there as well. In fact, one of the scenes was actually filmed at Cape Florida State Park, and on the other side of that park, Bad Boys 2 was actually being filmed at the exact same time. So originally, there was actually 2 scripts created for this film, one in which Vin Diesel would return, and one if he did not actually return. Diesel unfortunately did not like the script, and even though he was offered $25 million to show up for this film, he turned it down so he could actually do the sequel to Pitch Black, The Chronicles of Riddick. It's also because of Vin Diesel not coming back as Dominic Toretto that we ended up with the 2 new characters of Roman Pierce and Tej Parker. Now, to be more precise though, the real reason we got Tej Parker was because John Singleton wanted Ja Rule to come back and reprise his role of Edwin from the first film. He refused, and this caused Singleton to create the character of Tej. Now, just like Michelle Rodriguez and Jordana Brewster from the first film, Devon Aoki, who plays Suki, also did not have a driver's license or any driving experience before this film. The first draft of the film actually had James Remar's character of Markham in cahoots with Verone the whole time. Also, in early drafts of the script, there was a scene with Brian playing a game of pickup basketball with Roman's 2 cousins that were going to be played by Fabulous and Alonzo Mourning. Ludacris does a great job as Tej Parker, but apparently the role was originally offered to Redman, but he turned it down. Tyrese Gibson, who also does a great job as Roman Pierce, was almost played by 50 Cent. Eva Mendes plays the character of Monica Fuentes, but it was almost played by Rosa Blasi. Carter Verone's mansion home was at one point the former home of Sylvester Stallone. The ESD device used to disable the cars in this film by the police does not actually exist in real life. The stunt where the Camaro launches into the air and lands on the boat was actually done in just one take. There's a part in the film where a Corvette crashes into a Mustang that was just crushed by a semi-truck. This was not actually a planned stunt. Luckily, the stuntman walked away unscathed. Now, a stunt that was planned and was actually performed by the actual actor was when Brian wins the first race and power slides towards the crowd. That was actually Paul Walker doing that stunt. He did many of his own stunts throughout the film, and even in the previous one. Now, time for the family counter. This one's actually a surprise. This is the only Fast and the Furious so far that has 0 mentions of the word family. As for the film Too Fast, Too Furious, this feels a lot like the original in my opinion. It was very good, but also at the same point, it wasn't one of the best in the series. So I think I'm also going to give this one a 3 out of 5. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, when we first meet Roman, what is he doing? So, when we first meet the character of Roman Pierce, he is performing in a demolition derby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.